June 2002, over Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, a service member watches the stars start blinking out. Something huge passing overhead, west to east, a perfect triangle, 500 feet across, deadly silent, steady speed, not a single light on it. The guy next to him saw it too. He turned and said, "Did you see that?" 2011, two more service members, another sighting. Where it happened, the government still won't say. 2023, now it's over an American backyard. A former defense employee on his porch when a silent triangle drops as low as 300 feet. No wings, no engine, no rumble. He said if it hadn't been a clear night, never would have caught it. Gone in 4 seconds. Same city, same year, another witness, another black triangle. This one's pixelated, kind of distorted, with a red light burning in each 3 of the corners. Whatever these are, they keep showing up where they absolutely shouldn't.
Probably the most interesting thing in this release is numerous reports of triangle-shaped UAP seen over sensitive military sites. Eyewitness reports by credible military personnel, and over the course of many decades. And I know from my own sources that these triangle UAP have been seen all over the world for decades.
And you say they're big?
They're very big, yeah. They're large, they move in ways that no known aircraft can. And this is a reoccurring type of UAP that's seen all over the world.
Welcome back. It's been nearly 3 decades since thousands of Arizonans looked up at the night sky and saw something they cannot fully explain. The mysterious Phoenix lights, a formation of glowing orbs hovering over the valley, becoming one of the most talked about mass sightings in U.S. history. And still to this day, there is no definitive answer.
And we still don't know what it was, but there are plenty of theories out there. It was the evening of March 13th, 1997. People across Arizona, especially here in the valley, reported seeing a silent, miles-long V-shaped group of lights gliding quietly overhead, prevailing years.
Now, of course, we're much more open to it recently as being real. And the Phoenix Lights is one of the premier mass sightings that they're looking at as being authentic, because thousands of people saw these massive craft or objects hover right over them, glide right over them, rooftop level. Some people said they could have thrown a stone at it. It was that close.
On March 13th, 1997, while thousands of people were looking skyward for a glimpse of the Hale-Bopp comet, they also got a glimpse of 1 to 8 miles wide, according to Peter Davenport, the director of the National UFO Reporting Center. 8 miles wide, either these orbs, these balls of light, equidistantly spaced, that seem to be attached to something or actual craft.
Yeah, this is crazy because there were really, it appears to be 2 events that night. A flare drop at the gunnery range, the Goldwater gunnery range, a flare drop, and then a craft that even the governor, Fife Symington at the time, who was a Navy guy, he said, whatever that thing is, it was otherworldly.
Yes.
And he chased it. He got in his car and tried to follow it. He said, I've never seen anything like it.
It's so wild, yeah.
What about the triangles that we see in these new videos? Do we have any idea what they are? And it seems like with a lot of these UFOs, a lot of them are triangles from the videos that I've seen.
Yeah, it is. It's a perplexing morphology. Again, what consistently what has been reported is again large triangles. With the image we just saw on screen, 2 pilots in Afghanistan observed a triangle that they described as being 500 feet across in size and perfectly silent as it flew over them, again in Afghanistan at Bagram Air Force Base. So the silence, these bizarre kind of large sizes, these maneuvers, completely perplexing, frankly.
And the crew, the officer says that in between the trigger pull and the recoil, the UAPs fly away, and from that point, it is on. The crew starts to see 25 or more of these cold orbs flying around as they describe them. Some of them apparently pull out cell phones. They start to capture some of those videos. Those are those videos that you see. It's hard to see exactly what they're shooting because they're shooting a screen, but they describe the orbs as flying in these formations at like interact with each other. At one point, they talk about them flying in a coordinated formation, similar to how dolphins playfully swim in a pod. Again, this is an official government document. They clock the speeds from about 250 miles an hour to 1,300 miles an hour. They try to save all of the good footage, not this crappy cell phone footage. But all of a sudden, their DVR inexplicably failed. So
we received the first reports, FBI witness interviews, and digital recreations of these mysterious black triangles that have been observed over the decades. And the former acting director of the Pentagon's UFO analysis office has said that these black triangles are one of two morphologies, the other being these fiery orbs or spheres that have also been reported for decades that have perplexed the Pentagon. And the bottom line from my perspective is that this tranche just reinforces that there is a lot of truly bizarre and on its face anomalous activity in our skies that is just incredibly difficult to explain away. If you actually look through the reports, these are pilots in many cases, they are service members who have decades of experience, and they're reporting things that they simply cannot explain. And the FBI, again, is putting quite a bit of resources into investigating these sightings.
So as the White House tries to find all the most meaningful evidence of UAP that sits within various federal agencies and branches of the military and private defense contractors, they found that a lot of people who have worked on these classified programs are afraid to tell even the White House what they know because they've signed really strict non-disclosure agreements. So just a few days ago, the administration put out an official statement, the Trump administration put out an official statement making it clear that they will waive non-disclosure agreements signed by people who have worked on these classified UAP programs if those people are willing to come forward in a classified setting and tell either the FBI or the White House what they know. And that's a major step forward for disclosure. It could potentially remove, the last major hurdle to getting to the real evidence.
From your sources, do you know if anybody did that this week after that?
I think some people have started doing it. Yeah. And also from my sources, the evidence that's been released in these tranches so far barely scratches the surface of what actually exists.
There's one document where a witness describes what is known as missing time or time dilation. He describes that as he's witnessing the UFO, that the time on his watch is different than the time on his iPhone, and that the watch somehow jumped ahead 25 minutes. Is this something that we've heard about before?
In fragmentary kind of reporting, yes, over the years it has popped up, but this is, to my knowledge, and this happened earlier this year, so this is basically happening live almost, right? This happened in 2026. Truly perplexing, yes, and there are two witnesses to this particular incident. They both say, this is bizarre. This guy would have never, had his watch 25 minutes ahead or behind. He was a military guy. He squared away, I think is the exact verbiage that's used. So it is genuinely perplexing, and I believe that series of incidents, that specific series of incidents, may have occurred at White Sands Missile Range, which has seen really an extraordinary amount throughout the years, but also more recently of really bizarre, anomalous activity, which also happens to be where the first atomic bomb was detonated at the Trinity site in 1945.
Interesting.
Going through some of these other cases, the lack of the video and the data is very frustrating, but there are some reports in here of an interview that are downright weird. Like the government released some artistic renderings, if we have it, of an incident in the desert where some guys see a UAP. One of them has night vision goggles, and you see what that might look like through an artist. But then they go on and he checks his clock, and it's an analog clock. And I think there's a discrepancy of like 20 minutes between his watch that is analog and then the digital clocks that he's around. What do you make of that?
Well, we know of time dilation in physics, but it cannot be produced in this particular case as a result of space-time curvature, because the gravitational tide of such an encounter would have dramatic consequences. It would tear the bodies of the witnesses apart. So based on known physics, the only sense I can make of it is that the time difference was initiated by some electromagnetic effect on the digital clocks, which was not effective on the analog clock. But what kind of an electromagnetic signal? I have no idea.
It's so fascinating. I'm so glad that you're looking at these with such detail. It's also got some more interviews, quite a few interviews of people that saw black triangular shaped craft that are kind of like the Arizona lights way back in the day. One military pilot had seen a lot of lights in the sky when I was reading his description, it almost sounds like maybe flaring from satellites. But then he goes on to talk about seeing this massive triangle in the sky above a base in Afghanistan. It's tough because you've got different types of descriptions of things that are unexplained in the sky from the same people, from people that are trained aviators. Do you put stock in some of these triangle reports?
Well, definitely. I mean, this description of a giant triangle keeps repeating. I heard a number of other reports decades back of the same thing. One of the reports came from a physicist that I know who witnessed that. In this particular case, the description is that the size of the triangle was about 500 feet, 150 meters. And it was moving at a speed of about 150 knots or 77 meters per second. The problem here is that no existing operational aircraft matches this size and speed. The largest aircraft ever built is the Strato Launch Rock, and that spans about 385 feet, 117 meters. So it doesn't match up the description. And so we're left with the question of, is this report reliable? Unfortunately, we don't have the actual digital data from sensors to confirm it. And that's what needs to be done, basically. In order for us to resolve these cases, we need better data. The same pilot also talks about all kinds of orbs that last for hours that cannot be explained by satellites. And so this brings me to the point that this should be a serious matter that scientists should be curious about. Skeptics who deny the significance of these anomalies are not curious enough to be genuine scientists. So either we're dealing with unknown natural phenomena, secretive black projects, or these anomalies reflect manifestations of alien technologies.
So Stephen Miller, who oversees the process, in his words, of removing illegal aliens from the country, is now leading the charge to discover aliens from outer space, potentially?
Essentially, yeah.
That's wild.